Starr was the quarterback of those great Packer teams that won 5 NFL titles in 7 years. Now, Brett Favre is the quarterback of the Green Bay Packers. Last season, he was the league's most valuable player, and with the heart of a champion prize fighter and the leadership of a military chief, Favre is a man who has the skill and toughness of the players that won championships for Vince Lombardi. Favre took the Packers to the conference title game last year, but they lost to Dallas. Brett Favre, like all of Green Bay, can hear the echo of the Lombardi credo. Winning isn't everything, it's the only thing.
No one remembers who came in second or third, fourth. All they remember who the Super Bowl winners were, and we came close. Not close enough.
It's been nearly 30 years since the Packers won their Super Bowls. A third trophy would make Brett Favre's team a permanent part of Green Bay's championship tradition. The Philadelphia Eagles face the Green Bay Packers on ABC's Monday Night Football. From here in Green Bay for the first time in 10 years. Tonight, they meet the Philadelphia Eagles on Monday Night Football. Hello again, everyone. Frank Gifford along with Al Michaels and Dan Deerdorf, and we are back in Green Bay, and we are happy to be here. What a backdrop for a football game here in Green Bay, Wisconsin. And the Pack, of course, off to a great start last week. They pummeled their division opponent, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 34-3. They were 11-5 a year ago, went all the way to the NFC Championship game before they lost to Dallas, and they've improved this team by moving a few players around, picking up a couple of key players here and there, and they feel they can finally go back to the Super Bowl after nearly 30 years. The Philadelphia Eagles won't go easily into the night. They play for a tough coach named Ray Rhodes. He came in a year ago, took them to a 10-6 record. They too lost to Dallas in the playoffs, Al, and that's not the half of the similarities between these two teams. It's going to be a little interesting tonight, hearing you just call the players back and forth. They moved around.
Well, Ray Rhodes and Mike Holmgren have worked together for years. In fact, Ray was the defensive coordinator here for 2 years, and the two worked together in San Francisco for a number of years. Ray Rhodes is a fascinating man. He wasn't close to being owner Jeffrey Lurie's #1 choice for the job 2 years ago. Jimmy Johnson clearly was. But when Rhodes got the job, he didn't tiptoe through the door. He knocked it off its hinges. There is not one assistant coach remaining from 2 years ago on the Philadelphia staff, and only 9 players on the 53-man roster played here a year and a half ago. So it's been a complete makeover, and he squeezed so much out of this team last year that Ray Rhodes was the National Football League's Coach of the Year. If they can win tonight and go 2-0 with 2 road victories and take undisputed possession of first place in the NFC East and knock off favored Green Bay, they will send a very serious statement to the rest of the National Football League. And Dan, tonight they face the Packers, not only a great team collectively, but maybe with as many superstars now as any team in the NFL.
And they've assembled them slowly but surely. And by the way, how often is it that we can't hear each other speak over the noise of this crowd? It is some scene here at Lambeau Field tonight, but the Green Bay Packers are led by Brett Favre, who has assumed the mantle of the most exciting quarterback in the National Football League. 38 touchdowns last year. He's off to a great start this week in their opener last week. He goes off 20 of 27 with 4 touchdown passes and no interception. He is the leader of this offensive team, and they have tons of talent all over. Defensively, what a rare opportunity we have tonight to watch a sure Hall of Famer in Reggie White. Maybe the best defensive end of all time in the National Football League. We'll get guys like Deacon Jones to argue, but it is always a thrill to watch Reggie White at work. They're led by their 5th-year coach, Mike Holmgren, and right now he's joined down on the field with our own Lynn Swann.
Thank you very much, Dan. Mike, I've got to ask you about this team you're playing against. The head coach, Ray Rhodes, you respected this man enough to make your defensive coordinator. What concerns you most about the defense he brings in here tonight?
Well, they're going to be very intense and very aggressive. He's fundamentally very sound in what he teaches, and he's one of the great motivators I've ever been around. So we know we're going to have to be as intense and as motivated to play.
The offense is very similar in style, terminology the same. Backup quarterback Ty Detmer was a Packer, now he's an Eagle. Does that similarity in terminology present some unique problems for tonight?
Well, we changed some things and we changed some signals. I think you have to do that, but you can't worry about it too much. The game is going to be decided by the players on the field, Lynn.
Coach, thank you very much. Good luck.
Okay.
Al?
Thank you, Lynn. So for the first time in 10 years, since September of 1986, Monday Night Football comes to Green Bay, Wisconsin. And I watched the local news tonight at 5 o'clock here in Green Bay, and the first 12 minutes of the news were devoted to tonight's game. Nothing else happened in the world today as far as Green Bay was concerned. Nothing.
I even saw the rival stations promoting tonight's game on television. Sold out, of course. Over 25,000 people waiting to get season tickets for the Green Bay Packers. It'll be a long time.
The Packers to receive. Don Beebe and Travis Jervey taking the Gary Anderson kick, and it's Don Beebe, the ex-Buffalo Bill, who comes from the 5 up to the 25-yard line. And now a look at the Green Bay Packers, executing brilliantly last week at Tampa Bay. Brett Favre, the league's MVP last year, 4 touchdown passes in Florida last week. Has Edgar Bennett in the backfield with him. A double tight end set to start the game. Jackson and Chimura with Freeman and Brooks, the wideouts. And up front, Gary Brown, the youngster at left tackle. Aaron Taylor, Frank Winters, Adam Timmerman, and Earl Dotson. First and 10 from the 25. The Eagles showing a 7-man front, and the pass is incomplete as he goes for Keith Jackson, the tight end who caught 3 touchdown passes last week, covered by an ex-Packer in James Willis. Now defensively, up front, William Fuller coming off another great year. Kevin Johnson and Red Hall, the tackles, and Mike Mamula with a couple of sacks last week. Woodard, Willis, the ex-Packer, and William Thomas, who had 7 interceptions in '95. And in the secondary, they picked up Troy Vincent from Miami, the free agent. Taylor in his second year now. Zordich and Zolmold at safeties. 2nd and 10. Out of a 2-back set, Favre with time, and his second pass is high, intended for Antonio Freeman. So Brett is 0 for 2. Troy Vincent, good tight coverage. 3rd and 10.
William Thomas, number 51, an outstanding linebacker for the Eagles. He can do so many things. 7 interceptions, as Al mentioned a year ago. So quick. He was in on the pass rush there, and he'll do that often. And that forced the early delivery by Favre, and that's what the Eagles want to do desperately. Get into Favre's face, put pressure on him, try to get him, if he's forced out of the pocket, to go to his left.
3rd down and 10 now from the 25-yard line. 4 wide receivers, all out into the pattern for Green Bay. Favre is 0 for his first 3, intended for Robert Brooks. So he aimed passes in the direction of 3 different receivers, but doesn't connect, and it's 3 and out for the Pack.
And he's over the top to all 3 receivers. All 3 of his passes a little high, and Frank, I think that's just a little excess adrenaline. As we mentioned, a long time since Monday night's been here. Good coverage on the part of the Eagles as well.
Really fine coverage. They were right there. He had to throw it just on the fingertips, or he had to throw it over.
Craig Hentrick, one of the best in the league. Good snap. Great kick. 60 yards to the 15-yard line, and Mark Say, the ex-Charger, with a flag thrown at the end of the play, takes it back to the 25. And our first penalty of the night, Bernie Kukar is the referee. And it's against Philadelphia. So Ray Rose will watch his team backed up even further.
Illegal block in the back. Number 20 on the return team, on the run back. That's a 10-yard penalty.
Brian Dawkins getting the penalty, the rookie out of Clemson. And now Rodney Peete, who was picked up last year as a backup and then supplanted Randall Cunningham early in the year. Ricky Waters and Kevin Turner in the backfield. Irving, Fryer, and Christy Jones outside, and Ed West, the longtime ex-Packer. Brooks, Panos, McKenzie, Holmes, and Cooper up front. Cooper, of course, will have his hands full all night against Reggie White. Penalty backs him up to the 9, and Rodney Peete slings it into the arms of Chris T. Jones. Loses the football. Green Bay has it. Doug Evans comes away with it.
Well, I'll tell you, they did this against Washington over and over and over, and Doug Evans was waiting for that.
Well, last week, Philadelphia turned it over 3 times and did not have a takeaway, and they got away with it. And tonight, a costly early turnover here.
Evans reading it all the way. No fake whatsoever. It was just a slant in. They did it against Washington over and over. They come back with it, and they are well versed in that particular play, and he was right there, was Evans.
Boy, that looked awfully close, though, to joint possession when they first hit the ground. There's no question that Evans took it away after they were on the ground.
Here's Edgar Bennett now on first down, and Bennett gets run out of bounds by William Thomas. Last week, the Packers took the ball away 6 times, so that's already turnover number 7 this season for the Pack.
Yeah, they were at a +4. They turned it over twice in Tampa for a net +4, and now they're +5 on the season. Just a perfect start for the Green Bay Packers defensively. Evans didn't get driven off the line of scrimmage at all by Jones, but watch this. There it is. Jones has the ball, but so does Evans. Both of these guys seem to have possession of the football when they hit the ground. It's after they're on the ground that it comes out with Evans holding it.
And, of course, joint possession would go to the offensive receiver.
Exactly right. So that's a call that could have gone the other way, could have gone Philadelphia's way.
2nd and 12. Favre is flushed out, looking, nobody open, and he's out of bounds at the 12-yard line, forced out by James Willis.
Good coverage again as Troy Vincent locked up with Robert Brooks, and that was where Favre was trying to go to his receiver who a year ago had 102 receptions. But Troy Vincent makes a very different defense, having come from Miami, a Pro Bowl player and an excellent cover man, teaming with Bobby Taylor on the other side for the Eagles.
Eagles are sporting some new duds. What do you think of their new uniforms there? I kind of like it.
They're called Midnight Green Duds.
Yeah, the old Kelly green is gone, and more of a 90s look here.
3rd down and 7 from the 12-yard line is Favre. Gets protected well, but the secondary really does a number. And Brett is forced out of bounds well shy of the first down, and will have to settle for a field goal attempt. Again, forced out by James Willis. So a great bit of secondary work by the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Green Bay Packers are forced to settle for a field goal attempt.
Bit of victory for the defense for the Eagles. Green Bay is so good at getting in from inside the red zone and getting in for the touchdown.
Yeah, Emmett Thomas, the defensive coordinator of the Eagles, has to be very pleased with that. On the road, to start with your backs against the goal line, to force Jackie to go to work is a huge victory.
This will be a 29-yard attempt as you look at the Eagle assistant coaches. 29-yard attempt by Jackie with Hentrick holding it, and the kick is good. So they take the ball away from Christy Jones. The defense does its job, and they limit the Packers to 3. But Green Bay takes the early lead. 2:25 into the game in Green Bay. 3-0 Packers. Tonight, it's the home opener for the Packers, who were 7-1 here last year. Chris Jones had it taken away. Officially, it's an interception for that man, Doug Evans, meaning that Jones never had possession of the ball. The interception leads to 3-0 Packers, and Jackie sends it skyward into the arms of Charlie Garner at the goal line, and the backup running back for Ricky Waters takes it up to the 18-yard line. Let's take a look right now at the defensive alignment for the Green Bay Packers, and they are bookended by 2 great ones. Reggie White on the left side, Sean Jones on the right, with Santana Dotson, the ex-Buccaneer, and Gilbert Brown in the middle. Simmons, Kuntz, and Williams are the linebackers. And then an outstanding secondary, the budding star Newsome with Evans, who had the interception, Leroy Butler, and Eugene Robinson over from the Seattle Seahawks to lend his savvy and poise and experience. 1st and 10 from the 18-yard line. Rodney Peete going deep and incomplete, intended for Irving Fryer, who had a step on Evans. So Fryer, the venerable one, the target there at 2nd down and 10. Monday Night Football is being brought to you by Pepcid AC Acid Controller. You can be heartburn free with Pepcid AC. FedEx, just what you want, just when you want it. It wasn't always this way, but with FedEx, it's the way the world works. Cadillac and your Cadillac dealers. And Brewery Fresh Budweiser, who reminds you, fresh beer tastes better.
That last pass was close, Frank. That was real close to being 7 points for Philadelphia.
2nd down and 10 now. And this is Ricky Waters And that's a quintessential look at his running style as he takes it to the 35, tackled by Robinson and Kuntz.
Well, you saw Ricky covering up that football. He lost one, a key one, going in for 6 points last week against Washington. He's had problems throughout his career as a fumbler, and he had that ball covered up that time going through the line of scrimmage. He's a scrambler, a fighter, he's a hustler, always trying to squeeze out the extra yard, and that happens to running backs who give it that kind of an effort. You got to cover it up if you're going to do that.
Slashing runner, first down from the 34-yard line. That's Garner in motion, and they give it to Waters, and there's no hole that time. Stopped after a gain of 1 as the tackle is made by Gilbert Brown.
The way the Packers line up defensively, Gilbert Brown is more often than not on top of the center. They leave Sean Jones and Reggie White right there out on the ends, and then Santana Dotson, their other defensive tackle, flips from side to side depending upon which way they want to play the strength of the formation. But Big Gilbert at 325, 330 pounds pretty much stays right on top of that center. Sometimes he'll cock a little bit.
2nd and 9, 4 minutes into the game. Green Bay leading 3-0. Pete to Ricky Waters, and Ricky tackled immediately. Brian Williams with the coverage. The linebacker staying right with him. Minimal gain.
Brian Williams has really emerged as a linebacker, a real force. 3rd-round draft pick a year ago out of USC. They didn't quite know what to do with him. All of a sudden, training camp, he became the start on the outside, and they were able to move George Kuntz to middle linebacker, and that's where they were hurt mostly by free agency. They lost the middle linebacker from a year ago, Gouveia, who's they feel he was the worst loss they had.
On 3rd down and 7. Pete, the pump fake, buys time, and then incomplete. Great coverage intended for Mark Say with Craig Newsom draped all over him. 4th down.
I don't know anyone who could have handled that. Pete had everything on it. Man was well covered. He tried to force it in there, but it was a wrist breaker. He really had smoke on this one. Slow motion, it doesn't look like it, but you can see Fryer almost, or rather Mark Say almost trying to avoid it.
Tom Hutton to kick, and the former Heisman Trophy winner Desmond Howard, who won the Heisman at Michigan, back to receive.
And he's a dangerous threat.
50-yard boot to the 13, and he might have been a lot more dangerous if he didn't lose his footing. He's tackled at the 19-yard line.
Well, that was a good-looking return.
Yeah. 9:59 left in the opening quarter. Monday Night Football in Green Bay for the first time in a decade. 3-0 Packers. In there, look at those numbers. Dan mentioned at the top, 25 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and a rating of 125.9, which is phenomenal over what amounts to a half a season. From the 19-yard line, here's Bennett picking up 7 yards. How phenomenal is it? Well, in the history of the NFL, over any 8-game span, Steve Young and Joe Montana had slightly better ratings at certain points in their career, and there's a commonality there, of course. Young, Montana, Favre, and Mike Holmgren.
That's leaving out the playoff game, too, against San Francisco, where he was spectacular last year. Of course, those were regular season games, but he had a great game against the 49ers. They blew them away.
2-to-1 ratio is pretty good. 3-to-1's extraordinary. How about a 12-to-1? 25 touchdowns, 2 interceptions.
Holmgren, an assistant in San Francisco with Montana and Young, and now the head coach, of course, here as Bennett picks up a first down, taking it to the 30-yard line, but a marker is down at the line of scrimmage. Zordich makes the tackle. Bernie Kukar will give us the call.
And Green Bay was moving just a little early there. Now they going to point towards the Eagles.
Mike Mamula might have been the guy in the neutral zone.
Well, the play gained 5, so it's a wash here. Take it or leave it. They pick up a first.
On the defense, number 59. That's a 5-yard penalty resulting in a first down.
Mamula gets hit by the hard snap count, kind of falls forward into the zone. That's him, his helmet just at the upper right of your screen. You can see him, he falls right into it. Not only do you cost your team 5 yards, but you're in such an awkward position that it's tough to get back into the play.
That's the Packers' first down, and Favre throws, and again too high. Robert Brooks, the intended receiver, so Brett is 0 for his first 4 with 8:56 left in the quarter. 3-0 Packers.
Again, maybe just a little high early in this game, but I mean, he also got a little bit of pressure. He knew he had to deliver that ball.
Sherman Lewis on the left, the offensive coordinator of the Packers, and really one of the top assistant coaches in the National Football League, and a guy who'll probably be in the next echelon of candidates as head coaching vacancies begin to occur. And a guy who has a lot of weapons at his disposal here. 2nd and 10. Bennett slinging to the outside. Nothing happening there. Mark Woodard first to pop him. Ball at the 30-yard line. It'll be 3rd down and 11. Mike Holmgren in year 5 here had a chance to coach either the Jets or the Cardinals after the '89 season. He could have had either job. Opted to go back to San Francisco as an assistant, and then 2 years later the Pack came calling and he felt it was right. 3rd and 11. Favre slinging it deep, but great coverage, and Brooks was the intended receiver, but he had no chance. He was covered front and back, and Brett is 0 for his first 5.
I'll tell you, thus far this evening, Brett Favre has really no place to put the football. He would have had to squeeze everything in there just absolutely perfectly. This is fine coverage on the part of the Philadelphia Eagles. A good overall defensive scheme, Dan. They're getting a little bit of pressure, but they're getting great coverage.
Yeah, looking at the safety positioning there, I don't know why Brett even threw it in the direction of Brooks. He should have checked off of that and found another receiver.
Hentrick to kick. Mark Say back to receive it. At the 20-yard line. After a 50-yard kick, it's a 9-yard return back to the 29. Tackled there by Mark Shimura. 7:58 left in the quarter. 3-0 Green Bay. Now Wednesday night at 10 o'clock, 9 Central. Primetime's hidden cameras catch con artists using your good name and credit to go on outrageous shopping sprees. And Friday, Barbara Walters, candid and personal interviews with Bob and Elizabeth Dole on 2020 Friday right here on ABC. From the 29-yard line, Rodney Peete on first down is lucky that wasn't picked off by George Kuntz. Intended for Mark Ingram.
Talked earlier about Kuntz moving to that middle linebacking position. They weren't quite sure that he was going to work out there, but in fact, they're not positive yet. He was their weak side linebacker a year ago when Brian Williams came on so strong. They moved him to the middle.
That's just a great read by Kuntz. Sees Rodney Peete looking that direction, makes his break before the ball is even thrown. Oh, and he really came very close to getting that INT, but that's just a good read by Kuntz, reading the eyes of the quarterback.
Defense, the story on both sides tonight. The quarterbacks are a combined 1 for 10, and Ricky Waters picks up 2 up to the 31-yard line. He's tackled there by George Kuntz. Rodney Peete is 1 for 5. And Brett Favre is 0 for 5.
These two teams certainly know a lot about each other. We talked about the coaches coming from the 49ers and being close, and of course Ray Rhodes coaching here with 2 years with Mike Holmgren, but this is kind of ridiculous for two offensive-oriented teams to be struggling like they are.
That'll bring those quarterback ratings back to reality.
3rd and 8. 7:18 left in the quarter. Green Bay leading 3-0. Packers with a 4-man rush. Great protection up front, and that enables Peete to hit Mark Ingram, and the former Giant, who had such a key play in their Super Bowl win, who played here last year, picks up a first down.
Ingram coming from way across the field, the outside position underneath the 2 men going down deep, and found that open spot, and Rodney was right there. But more importantly, Rodney had all the time in the world to wait for Ingram to come across. There's the zone, finds a spot, sets up in it. But the key there, Rodney Peete had a lot of time to throw the football.
1st and 10, Eagles at their own 44. Crowd making it tough for him to check off. And then he throws to the near side into the arms of Mark Say for a short gain. Tackled there by Leroy Butler, a pickup of 2.
I think we still have yet to hear Reggie White's name called. But Rodney trying to get rid of the football quickly.
And nobody will be more in favor of that, Frank, than his offensive line. They've been moving Reggie around, as they often do, trying to find the soft spot. 1st and 10, he'll always be over there at his regular left defensive end position, but after that, it's a free-for-all in passing situations.
Heat on 2nd and 7, and Rodney has to pack it in and takes it up to the 50-yard line, where he's brought down by Santana Dotson, and it will be 3rd down and 4.
Dotson, of course, plays inside Reggie White, came over from Tampa Bay, had a great rookie year, and then kind of sloughed off a little bit, and so came over as a free agent, but he is tough against the run. And also they expect to get a good pass rush from the inside on him. This time he kind of sets up, battles his man, slides off. He's very quick and makes the stop.
5:15 left in the quarter. 3rd and 4. Waters to the outside. Breaks a tackle, turns the corner, seeks the 1st down. He's close. Tackled by Eugene Robinson, and appears to have the 1st down as they spot it just inside the 46-yard line.
Dude, that's his trademark, Ricky Waters. What a great second effort. There are not a whole lot of backs who ever played this game would have got that 1st down.
Well, defensively, it's just the way the Green Bay Packers wanted it. They had a man in position to make the hit. Evans, the cornerback on that side, was there, but Ricky Waters, he made him get nothing but air.
New Ricky Waters.
Yeah, there's Evans, and he doesn't get it done. Ricky makes him miss, and Ricky gets up there and gets the 1st down.
From the Green Bay 45, Waters over the left side for a gain of 2. And it's a loose ball, and Ricky, prone to fumbling, may have given it up again, and has. Green Bay football, no play there. The play is dead at the 43-yard line. Brian Williams recovers for Britt Shermer's defensive unit. The 64-year-old defensive mentor applauds as Ray Rhodes has his team trying to regroup.
And now he also has to try to regroup his running back, who once again gets a game started by putting the ball on the ground. He's got it with 2 hands there. Again, the ball's loose from Waters. Green Bay's football.
After the fumble, Green Bay has it at the 43 as they begin the drive. Screen pass to Edgar Bennett. Good blocking. Picks up a 1st down into Philadelphia territory. Tackled at the 46 by William Thomas, and Ricky Waters with the exasperation written all over his face.
Well, what happens when you start fumbling the football, and Ricky's been fumbling over the past 2 or 3 years, and a veteran player like Sean Jones is going to think, well, number 32's got it, I'm going to put my hand in there. Okay, let's take a look at Bennett again on this play.
Good block out front by Aaron Taylor. His left guard, Frank Winters, his center. Alan Timmerman, his right guard, all out in front, leading that play. Just a well-executed screen.
Come on, Pete. From the 46, Favre throws, another completion. Mark Chmura went to the Pro Bowl last year. The tight end of the 26, Choo-Choo. The crowd chants, tackled by Brian Dawkins.
That time, Brett Favre setting up a lot of time with a great touch. I started to say, when you get that reputation as a running back, you are going to attract a lot of veterans who are going to be reaching in there to get a hold of that football. Here's Chmura coming off the line of scrimmage. For a big man, he gets downfield very quickly. But more importantly, Favre had plenty of time. He set up. He had a lot of touch on this football. He didn't have it too hot. Made it easy to catch.
Brett Favre, who was 0 for 5, now 2 for his last 2 on this drive. From the 27, little swing out into the flat to William Henderson, the fullback, who serves as mainly a blocking back, an occasional receiver, tackled by Zomalt. It's a gain of 4. Next week, our first AFC matchup of the season comes your way from Three Rivers Stadium in Pittsburgh, where the Buffalo Bills, off to a 2-0 start yesterday, knocking off New England, take on the Steelers, who rebounded yesterday to knock off the Ravens after the opening day upset at the hands of Jacksonville. Bills Steelers next Monday night. Dorsey Levens in the game as the sole setback on 2nd and 6 now from the 23. And they give it to Levens, and he can't get out of the backfield. Tackled at the 25, setting up a 3rd and 8. Michael Zordich blitzing through.
That's just a dead play. Nice call by Emmett Thomas again, the defensive coordinator. Zordich blitzes right into the hole where they're trying to run. That's just a dead play from the very beginning. You just chalk that up. There's Emmett Thomas on the very left-hand side of your screen. John Gruden, their offensive coordinator, in the middle. Dick Jamieson, their running backs coach, on the right. A very busy Eagles press box right above us here. And Ricky Watters trying to keep that self-doubt from creeping in right about now.
3rd and 8 from the 25. A minute 45 left in the quarter, and the Pack on top 3-0 and looking for more, and far for Brooks into the end zone, touchdown. Next stop, first row.
Oh boy, I'll tell you, a beautiful pick. A beautiful crossing pattern, and very close to something you could call offensively. Outside man taking a drive inside. Brooks breaking behind him.
It's a pattern, Frank. As you and I both, you see it a lot more at the goal line than you do at the 25-yard line.
Consequently, you can get away with it a little more out here.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Favre, a lot of time, a lot of touch on it, but well executed. And I'll tell you, he did everything but catch that for Brooks. He's back. He's calmed down.
It's a Green Bay tradition. Robert Brooks leaping into the stands. He's done that a lot the last couple of years. Jackie for the extra point. A 3rd and 8 touchdown pass. 25 yards to Robert Brooks. The welcoming party. 10-0. Here's for a Monday night game, and so far so good. Robert Brooks with a 25-yard touchdown reception. Craig Hentrick to kick off, and he sends it into the corner, but before it gets there, it's out of bounds, meaning it comes out to the 40-yard line with $1:35 left in the quarter. And let's take a look at what was a pick defensively here.
Robert Brooks gets credit for the touchdown. Here's Brooks here, but Antonio Freeman, he'll drive to the inside, and he picks off both of the Eagle defenders. Brooks comes around to the outside, and it's wide open. Watch Freeman. There he drives to the inside. Bang, he's got both of those guys, and by the time they figure out what's going on, Robert Brooks has a relatively easy touchdown pass from Brett Favre.
And a great time to call it, Dan, because they were in man-for-man coverage. Robinson trying to lock up and stay with Brooks. No chance.
Everybody runs that down on the goal line. Not many people run it in the open field. Maybe more will.
1st and 10 from an 8-man Green Bay front. Pete's going to throw, and the pass is there, but out of bounds. Chris T. Jones makes the catch, but he was on the chalk. Covered by Evans. 2nd down.
Evans, quite a game thus far for him tonight. They've tried him deep 3 times tonight. Came up with an interception, albeit a questionable one early on, for translated into 3 points, but this is good coverage. He's a stride for stride with Jones and forces Rodney to have to deliver the ball to the outside.
Pete, 3 out of 8 for 17 yards. Philadelphia shifting into a new formation here. First time they've shown this look. 2nd down and 10. And it's batted in the air. Picked off by Green Bay. Their 3rd takeaway. George Kuntz with the interception. Deflected by Santana Dotson, number 71.
Well, Rodney Peete is not the tallest of quarterbacks. He sometimes has to throw between pass rushers. This time he didn't get between. Santana Dotson, they brought him in to get pressure from the inside. He did just that.
And what's going to be disappointing is that there's Dotson over the left guard. He's going to split a double team. He gets inside of Joe Panos and Raleigh McKenzie and gets upfield. That is what's going to be disappointing to the Eagle coaches, is that they have him accounted for at the line of scrimmage with a double team, and he gets way too far upfield and into the face of Rodney Peete.
1st down, Green Bay. The Packers have already taken the ball away 9 times in less than 5 quarters this season. 6 against Tampa Bay last week, 3 tonight as Bennett is stopped in the backfield. And gents, last year Green Bay had a league low 16 takeaways all year. They already have 9.
Yeah, Fritz Shermer has this group off to a very, very fast start.
Philadelphia's defense is about to tell their offense to go out and hold them for a while.
Well, they got a good effort there from William Fuller. He's the defensive end that made the play for a loss there. 13 sacks a year ago, and he's the leader of this defensive team. He gets up big time when he has to.
Second and 12. Pressure on, and the pass is caught by Bennett, and a rolling tackle is made by James Williams at the 27. It'll be 3rd down and 5. .34 seconds remaining in the quarter.
Bennett with a fine piece of concentration, looking that ball into his hand.
I'd say that's a highlight catch.
Packers do not have to run another play because the game clock is underneath the play clock, but Mike Holmgren says run another play here. 3rd down, a long 4 from the 26-yard line, and Favre throws, and it's dropped by Keith Jackson as the quarter expires. Period ends, but a good one for the Pack. 3 takeaways for Green Bay, and it's Green Bay 10, Philadelphia nothing. Monday Night Football back after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Green Bay, Al Michaels with Frank Gifford, Dan Dierdorf, and Lynn Swann as we start the second quarter. And on 4th down and 4, Chris Jackie will attempt a 44-yard field goal to try to give Mike Holmgren's team a 13-0 lead. Craig Hentrick puts it down, and Jackie, one of the very best, bangs it through.
That would have been good for 54 easily.
Well, the Eagles caught a break when Keith Jackson dropped that pass. That would have kept the drive alive. As it turned out, the Packers had to settle for 3, but they still lead 13 to scratch.
Downtown Green Bay, hard by the Fox River on a beautiful Monday night, as Hentrick kicks off and it's down in the end zone. 13-0. You know, gents, it's an interesting story. Last week we're in Chicago. We have the Sears Tower and the Hancock Tower. The biggest building, the tallest building in Green Bay is St. Vincent's Hospital, 10 stories high. Can you think of a better place for the biggest building in town to be St. Vincent's?
St. Vincent of Lombardy?
Yes. The Goodyear blimp, Spirit of Akron, with John Moran at the controls tonight, floating high above northeastern Wisconsin. Rodney Peete from the 20-yard line as Ricky Waters finds nowhere to roam and is tackled at the 18. So the Packers have 3 takeaways, and they've cashed each of them in for 2 field goals and a touchdown.
And the entire game, we've got Irving Fryer down on the ground, and this certainly not good news for Philadelphia as Irving can't get up. There's the Eagles owner, Jeffrey Lurie, with the binoculars to his eyes, looking down and obviously concerned.
So they work on Fryer, an injury timeout, 35 seconds into the second quarter.
With 4 doors, tons of interior space, comfortably contoured seating, and a great stereo.
For 40 years, named after the legendary coach Curly Lambeau. As Irving Fryer is taken off, and we will get a report on him. 2nd down and 12 from the 18-yard line. Rodney Peete throws underneath, and the catch is made by Mark Say up at the 28. It'll be 3rd down and 2. Monday Night Football is being brought to you by Plymouth. One clever idea after another. That's Plymouth Cleaner. First Brands Corporation, makers of STP, complete fuel system cleaner. And brewery Fresh Budweiser reminds you fresh beer tastes better.
The Eagles are back on their heels right now. What they need is to start slowly. They need a 1st down, then another 1st down. They cannot turn the ball over to the Packers offensively right away. Put something together. This is a big 1st down for them.
You saw them working on Irving Fryer's leg. Mark Say takes his place, 3rd and 2, and Peete under pressure escapes, comes to the near side, and Rodney reaching for that 1st down and is just short of it. Remember, they started with a touchback, so the nose of the ball would have to touch the 30-yard line. Leroy Butler comes up to make the tackle, and he's inches short.
That was a fine tackle by Butler coming up. Rodney Peete's a good running quarterback, and he knew exactly where he had to get for the 1st down. So did Butler. Butler made the play. Too early to think about going forward here.
Oh no, not at this end of the field. But all too quickly, the Eagles and their defense are going to be back out on the field.
The left-footed Tom Hutton to kick to the former Heisman winner, Desmond Howard. Good angled kick of 48 yards, fielded at the 22-yard line and nowhere to go. Good kick. It pinned him. And it pushes the Packers back to their own 22. 12:22 left, and they're going to cart Irving Fryar back to the locker room. 13-0 Green Bay. Favre, in his last 64 games, or 4 years worth of games, has completed at least 50% of his passes in all but one of those games. But tonight, to this point, he is under 500 at 5 of 11. And with that hard count, he draws a flag and buys a play and throws, and it's fingertipped by Brooks for the catch at the 39-yard line. Brooks and Vincent stride for stride, and the pass laid in there perfectly.
Oh, this is what has been fun to watch Favre over the years develop. He used to just rip that thing, lob it way up there. That was a beautiful touch. Good coverage over on the part of Vincent, but I mean, he just laid it in there absolutely perfect.
Number 51 on the defense. Penalty is declined. First down.
I mean, you can say Brooks had Vincent by a half a step, a third of a step, whatever. It was the slimmest of margins. I'm sure Troy has had poorer coverage many times and gotten away with it. Just a perfectly executed play by both Favre and Brooks.
38 yards. And a first down at the 39-yard line. And Favre, well, he had Antonio Freeman lined up where he didn't want Antonio to be. And has to take a timeout with the play clock ticking down. 11:53 left in the half. 13-0 Green Bay. Is dominating 105 yards through the air, but the story of the game really the 3 turnovers by the Eagles, and the Packers cashing in on all of them.
And as a result of those turnovers, guys, this game is being played and the Eagles into the field.
So William Fuller on the sideline momentarily as Edgar Bennett picks up 6 to the 33-yard line with 11:45 left in the half. Michael Zordich makes the tackle. Packers beginning last week with a win, Frank, and trying to get off to a 2-0 start, and they'll host San Diego here this Sunday.
We'll see him, what, in October with the 49ers?
Yeah, right back here, October 13th. It's 13th? 14th. Rodney Peete unable to get anything mounted to this point. Pacing the sideline, second down and 4. From the 33-yard line, and finding a hole is Edgar Bennett. He exploits it to the 17 and a first down. Tackled by Dawkins, and William Henderson providing the block to spring him out of the backfield, the blocking fullback.
Going right over the left side over Gary Brown, who has been an unexpected starter there. The rookie number 1 draft pick John Michaels with a bad ankle. They thought he would work there.
And they get the big lead block from Henderson, who's one of the better blocking fullbacks in the league. He's the reason that he's starting in front of Dorsey Levens. Again, the Philadelphia Eagles right now, a team that is playing, they're reacting instead of making something happen.
Double tight end set, that's Chimura in motion. And he tries to block, but Favre has to scramble, and Brett steps out of bounds. And do we have a flag at the end of the play? As William Fuller may have pushed him, but I see no flag.
Favre slid all the way into the band. And Brett looks like he's a little tender coming back. He's gimping.
So Favre, and his story is well chronicled. Offside, meanwhile, the call against Philadelphia. Brett admitting his addiction to painkillers during the offseason. Went to a clinic in Kansas for 6 weeks and has weaned himself off those painkillers, Vicodin specifically. We'll hear from him at the half, in fact, about the situation.
Which he is a 63rd consecutive start tonight. He's got an injured shoulder, a hip, a thigh, ankle that required surgery, and something that I think just built up on him.
The defender on the left side was lined up in the neutral zone. First down.
Over a period of years, and he did something about it. And you got to pull for him to make sure it stays that way.
But he's a guy who every time he had an injury, he would pop the pills. In fact, he admitted to taking as many as 13 in a day But he went through his rehab, or continues to go through it anyway, and so far so good. 1st and 5 from the 13-yard line, and Edgar Bennett breaks free and is thrown out of bounds at the 2-yard line. It'll be 1st and goal. Again, William Henderson with the block.
And Brian Dawkins with a bulldog tackle on Edgar Bennett saves a touchdown, but boy, don't you just get the impression that that's just delaying the inevitable.
The rookie from Georgia made the saving tackle. 2nd round draft pick. They'll probably get on Bennett when they look at the game films. Let that rookie stop you short of 6.
Again, you saw the block by Henderson, and Edgar Bennett to this point hasn't been touched. Dawkins is the first Philadelphia Eagle to make contact with Bennett. And again, tremendous blocking on the left side by Brown and Taylor and Winters.
Bennett and Levens out of the eye, and they fake it to Levens on 1st and goal. Favre just throws it away. A little shovel action to nobody in particular as he gets hit by Sylvester Wright at the end.
Yeah, but he saved a couple of yards by the incompletion rather than loss.
Again, Brett Favre ends up over by the band.
He's trying to get in that band, isn't he?
Maybe he ought to consider rolling out the other direction.
Came close to being a grounding call there.
Well, you can't, Al, once you're out of the pocket running like that, he can dump that baby anywhere he wants.
I think he was thinking he was going to save a couple of yards. He just got rid of it right there.
Yep. Yeah, true, out of the pocket and anything goes. 2nd down and goal from the 2-yard line. Levens, touchdown.
Hey, go where it's been good for you, right back to that left side.
Dorsey into the stands. That's a new tradition. They started it a couple of years ago.
Well, the old saying, give me some sugar. Up here, it's give me some cheese.
Yeah.
Go up into the stands. Aaron Taylor and Frank Winters, they're on the right side with a good double team. The Eagle linebackers get too far inside, and boy, that's a relatively easy touchdown.
Chris Jackie for the point after. Well,
I have to admit, this has taken me by surprise. I thought the Eagles were a stronger team than this to be down 20-0, but it just shows turnovers. Turnovers will cripple even the best of teams.
And particularly going against a team like the Packers. Once they settle down, once Brett Favre settled down, they have played rather flawlessly.
Well, Jeffrey Lurie, the Eagles owner, doesn't like what he has seen. It's been all Green Bay. Levens, who caught a touchdown pass last week, the only one not caught by Keith Jackson, scores here with 9:20 remaining in the opening half.
And this has become a real tradition here in Titletown. Up into the stands. You know, I'd have tried that as a player, Frank, and I wouldn't have got off the run. I'd just run into that wall.
Had to thrown you back.
They better put no grandmas in that first row.
I would have been like a home run at Wrigley.
Pentrick sends it to the 5-yard line. Charlie Garner back up to the 25, and the Eagles will have to regroup now with Rodney Peete, and they are in dire need of a long and effective drive, because tonight they've coughed it up 3 times, beginning early on when Rodney Peete threw to Chris T. Jones and Doug Evans was able to wrestle it away for the interception. That led to a field goal, and then a Ricky Waters fumble here. Sean Jones extracts the football. Pack recovers, and that led to a Brooks touchdown. And then this deflection by Santana Dotson led to a Kuntz interception, which resulted in a Jackie field goal to make it 13-0, and it's now 20-zip. First down, Philadelphia from the 24. Garner picks up 5. Charlie Garner out of Tennessee in his 3rd year. So far for the Eagles in the first half: interception, punt, fumble, interception, punt. Yuck.
And the Packers have had 6 possessions. 4 of them started in Eagle territory, and 1 of them got there in a hurry with that long completion to Robert Brooks. This game has been played almost entirely on the Eagles' half of the football field.
2nd and 5. 8.5 minutes left in the half. Pete throws, and that's incomplete. Pass a little low. Charlie Garner went down to get it and couldn't. 3rd down. The Eagles tonight have been pinned each time they've started a drive. Their average starting field position, their own 21, and Green Bay's close to midfield with their own 44. 3rd down 5. 4-man rush. Pete throws. That's deflected and incomplete off the hand of Chris T. Jones. 4th down.
Rodney with a little bit of pressure, and again, he had an awful lot on that. Could have been handled, but it would have been a very good catch.
Yeah, Jones is open. Looks like a pretty high percentage play, Frank. Just a simple crossing pattern.
You don't see it in slow motion like this, but that had a lot on it. Like I said, you could have handled it, but it would have been a good catch.
Tom Hutton to boot it.
The kind of catches you have to make, though, when you're down 20-0.
Desmond Howard back to run it back. 43-yard kick and a good tackle made immediately at the 27-yard line by the other Jimmy Johnson.
Well, I mentioned what a dangerous returner Desmond Howard is. I think he has 3 returns for like no yards.
At least he's not fumbling, because last year the Packers were killed by fumbles on punt returns. So
he
this
really
is holding on to the football.
He really has the Eagles shaken up, Dan.
Yeah, he really does.
That's a great move by Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, just perfect. Gets close enough to the runner before he leaves his feet, drives through the lower leg. Just a textbook illustration of how to get in there and make a tackle.
Caught a glimpse of Danny Smith, the Eagles special teams coach, and one of the myriad of young coaches. We talked about it at the top. Ray Rhodes, a complete turnover personnel-wise, and as far as the coaching staff is concerned, not one coach has been there more than a year and a week. 1st down, Green Bay from the 27, and Favre throws, and it's caught by Robert Brooks. And Eric Zumwalt said, no, he didn't get it. The official was right there to say, you bet he did.
Frank, I think you need a laser sight to get a pass in there.
Absolutely beautiful. And again, he had the touch on it. We followed him since he came into not into the league, but certainly with Green Bay, and he has really developed into one of the great touch passes. He always had the cannon arm. It just laid in there so beautifully. Again, Zumwalt, not bad coverage.
No, he actually touches the ball. Looks to me like Zumwalt touches the football before Brooks.
Now Bennett picks up 7.5, tackled by Zordich. And the Packers putting on a clinic, and it's Monday Night Football, and when you do this and your peers are watching, they are making a major statement right now.
Yes, they are. Especially when you consider this is a game in which the court... Yeah, Zordich touches that football. Zumwalt, rather, touches that football before Brooks does. And look at... That ball never touches the ground. If that ball at any time touches that ground, Robert Brooks never had control of it.
2nd and a deuce. And Bennett through the air and on the ground. It's all Green Bay to the 24-yard line. Well, Mike Holmgren half-kiddingly said, I don't want to hear the words Super Bowl. Well, he may not hear them from the players, and he may not express them to the players, but this team right now is clearly one of the creme de la creme teams in the NFL.
He can't find us, can he?
No.
We can talk about it all we want.
They're sure talking in Green Bay, too. They're talking it around the league, too. They're a good, solid pick by a lot of people to go all the way, and they should. I mean, look how close they came last year, and they're a better football team. Keith Jackson, the tight end, they've helped themselves defensively. They've got a great shot at it.
Mike Holmgren and Ron Wolf, the GM, have really put together a machine. It's 2nd and 10 as he tried to jam it into Antonio Freeman.
You have to like the way Brett Favre has settled down. He opened up this game, what, 0 for 4, 0 for 5, right, something like that, and he has really gotten it back under control, and he is really laser sighting some passes in there now.
Sort of like we saw him when he came in '92 from Atlanta, and he's just throwing the ball like that in the first few minutes of this game. He did it the entire season, and they stayed with him, and he almost drove Holmgren crazy, but
that's right.
He's turned into the premier quarterback around.
Early in his career, when he would start off a little discombobulated, he really struggled to get it back under control. I think we've really seen some maturity out of a guy. But keep in mind, he's still only 26 years old.
2nd and 10. And he throws, and the catch made by Keith Jackson. So Favre nimble enough to move the feet, find room, seek the opening, and then jam it in with that great arm to Keith Jackson. Close
that
to
was
a
it,
first.
too. That was the arm. How many times have we seen Joe Montana do that? They work around the pocket just like Montana did for Holmgren with the 49ers. Finds a little sliding space, slips out there, and just strong arms it in there for the completion.
Well, for those of you that have wondered what has happened to the tight end in the NFL these days, some teams don't have any because Green Bay has two.
That's right.
With Chmura and Keith Jackson, they're hogging the market.
And they are good.
Gary Brown off on a different snap count.
Both of them been to the Pro Bowl.
Full start. Number 68 on the offense. That's a 5-yard penalty, still third down.
What a wonderful pair of options for a quarterback to be able to work the middle of the field with guys the caliber of Jackson and Chmura. They both bring different things to the table. Jackson, the more gifted route runner. Chmura, the better blocker, the bigger, stronger, more physical guy. Keith Jackson, the savvy of being around this league for a long time. They are a wonderful combination.
Green Bay is going to take a timeout here, their second, before a 3rd down and 6. Gary Brown went off on a different snap count, and Brett leads in a lot of ways, doesn't he?
Sure does.
Offensive linemen love that, don't they, Dan?
No, darn right they do, because Gary Brown knows that it's not just a mistake. It's a mistake on Monday Night Football in front of a lot of people. You hate to feel like you let the other 10 guys in your huddle down, and that's a little pat on the head like that goes a long way.
Looking down upon Lambeau Field from the Goodyear Blimp. Spirit of Akron, as we mentioned, it's the first time the Goodyear Blimp has been to Green Bay. Some other minor blimps have been around Green Bay, but it's the first time the Goodyear Blimp's been here. And everybody was very excited about that.
The cheese blimp.
3rd down and 6 on the 21-yard line.
What a cheese blitz.
Favre looks one way, then the other, and then dumps it for Bennett, and it's incomplete as Edgar looked upfield before he looked it into his hands. 4th down. And in comes Chris Jackie to attempt what will be about a 38-yard field goal.
Again, I know Bennett will tell you I should have had that. Favre dancing around looking for space, finally gets to the outside, finds Bennett. Should have been a completion, but Bennett was looking upfield before he tried to take it into his hands.
This range between 30 and 39 appears to mystify Jackie.
Well, it's not no man's land for him here as he bangs another one through. So he's made from 29, 44, and now 38. And with 5:18 left in the half, it is Green Bay 23 and Philadelphia nothing. And let's get a word from New York and Chris Berman. Chris? In fact, Chris, the Pack could go all the way collectively.
Who is that guy? that face is familiar.
Chris along at the half.
Back.
Yep.
Back at halftime.
Well, that's what Philadelphia has been pinned tonight, back, as the kickoff from Hinchwick's foot is taken at the 2-yard line by Charlie Garner, who swings to the near side. A flag is thrown. And at the 25-yard line, in fact, 2 penalty markers down on the play.
This will back the Eagles up even more. Holy shnikes.
Bernie wants to make sure that both calls are on the same penalty here.
Well, the last time we did the Philadelphia Eagles, they were doing this to the Detroit Lions. We saw them in the playoffs last year at the Vet in Philadelphia, and they were putting this kind of a hurting on the Lions.
Number 87 on the return, team on the run back. That's half the distance of the goal. First down.
Jason Dunn.
58-3 was that?
Oh, it was. No, I think actually the Lions ended up scoring somewhere in the 30s, I think, but at one point in time it was like 50-something to 7 or something like that.
I think that's when we left.
That's when we wanted to leave.
Crowd trying to jam the Eagles' signals as they're pinned down into the corner at the 7-yard line. And
they did.
That's exactly what they did, because they forced Richard Cooper to come out of his stance. Richard Cooper is, I'm sure, wondering, why me?
I have to deal with a crowd where I can't hear the snap count.
Ball start. Number 77 on the offense, moving prior to the snap.
And I look through my
To the goal, still first down.
I look through my face mask and I'm looking at Reggie White. And I'm down 23-0. There's not anyone in America in their right mind right now who would want to be Richard Cooper. Another volunteer from Tennessee. We got a pair of Vols going head-to-head here. Cooper and Reggie White.
One of 11 offensive linemen out of Knoxville. Half the distance on the penalty, 1st and 13, and it's a swing pass to Kevin Turner, who's been silent tonight. And the fullback should have remained silent. Knocked down by 6 green jerseys, spearheaded by Kuntz. And not midnight green, the forest green.
Yes. Well, they have thirsted for a championship team here in Packer land for a long time. 1967, I think, the last time that the Packers were NFL champions, and they feel it. They sense it here. They think this 96 edition might be the one to bring it back home.
Favre telling the crowd to keep it up. 2nd down and 9. Pete throws and finally finds an open man. That's Chris T. Jones. The T stands for Todd. He is a first down of the 26, and he put the T in there because there was another Chris Jones when he was playing at Miami, so he became Chris T. Jones.
Big receiver that really is learned to come over the middle awfully well, too. There he is.
Out of Miami. The other Chris Jones, by the way, he's the famous Chris Jones now. Chris T. The other Chris Jones, I think, just got picked up by Hamilton in the CFL. And Irving Fryer is back in the game.
Well, that's good news for Philadelphia.
Well, it really is.
And Al, ever vigilant on the CFL waiver wires. That's really nice.
Yes.
Al.
Yep.
Man.
That's what happens when you scour that agatype in the newspaper these days. All the junk that stays in your mind. From the 26-yard line, look out! Santana Dotson buries Pete.
That's what they brought him in for, to bring that pressure from the inside, so Reggie White and Sean Jones are not going to be constantly double teamed, or if you do double team them, they're going to pay the price from inside with Santana Dotson.
He just works the outside shoulder of Lester Holmes, the right guard. 73 is Holmes. There goes Dotson right around him. Holmes gives him that outside shoulder and can't do it. Oh, and some of the not so frozen tundra on the face mask of Santana Dotson.
Timeout is taken by Philadelphia. .320 remaining in the first half.
One of the most interesting people you could ever talk to is Reggie White. There is a lot more to Reggie White than sacking the quarterback and chasing down a running back. A man whose off the field activities make what he's doing on a football field at times appear rather mundane and ordinary.
But he lifts the football team just by his mere presence.
Well, he may have done the most significant thing in this franchise's contemporary history by agreeing to that free agent contract, because this was an outpost. It was the outback until Reggie came here.
He did them a huge favor by accepting $17 million.
Yes, he did. He could have gotten it from a lot of places, but took it from here as Pete throws on the run and nobody's home.
I guess that's what you call the ultimate win-win situation.
Yeah.
Reggie gets $17 million, and the Packers are thrilled.
And this is his last year of that contract, and I don't think there's any sign that he's slowing up. He's going to be around a while. And one kind of wonders if he'll go out on a shopping tour again. I don't think so. He likes it here.
He likes it here. You get the impression that he would like to stay here, but I also don't get the impression that it's etched in stone.
Right. It'll be fascinating if they win the Super Bowl in particular. Because clearly that's primary goal. Goal number 1 for White. On 3rd and 17, they throw underneath to Jason Dunn, and he fights his way for a first down. He's got it up at the 37-yard line.
He's the rookie from Eastern Kentucky, and a good read. They had a safety blitz on there, and Rodney Peete read right along with Jason Dunn, who had a big play against Washington last week, second-round draft pick. A lot of promise. There comes the blitz, number 36. Butler right in the face of Pete. But Dunn, the rookie, was right with Rodney Pete on that one.
1st and 10 up at the 37. 2.5 left in the half. 23-zip Pack. Rodney throws and into traffic. He threads it in, and then Jones laterals to Irving Fryer. And Irving on the move inside the 5 and tackled at the 1-yard line. So Chris T. Jones makes the catch, sees Irving Fryer in his field of vision, laterals to him, and the Eagles have a 1st and goal.
Well, we talked about Chris Jones being able to catch it in traffic. That's the first thing he did. If you're not down 23-0, you don't do this. Down 23-0, a lot of presence. You got to make something happen. You might as well take the risk. But he caught a football when he knew he was going to be pounded.
That's a great play by Jones, making that lateral. And Brian Williams, the fastest linebacker Fritz Shermer has ever coached, makes a heck of a play, making this tackle on Fryer down by the goal line.
Left-handed flip to Fryer.
Back in it, and it's vital they score a touchdown here. 1st and goal, down by 23.
Just
2 minutes to go.
Anything positive to build on.
Waters, and that's a positive.
Yep.
He's in for 6. Ricky finds the opening as he slithers to his left. Touchdown, Eagles.
Did he put a good move to the inside? Ricky Waters with those incredibly quick feet.
They're going to go for 1 here. You have a situation where
you had 3 touchdowns and 3 2-pointers. That
right.
give you 24 points. I guess they're thinking the odds of doing that are slim.
Right. And Gary Anderson will try to tack on the extra point. The longtime Steeler now in his 2nd year with Philly.
3 touchdowns and a field goal would give them 24.
And he bangs it through.
Of course, all of these scenarios being based upon the fact that Green Bay doesn't score anymore.
Right.
One of them, I think, one of them considered late in the first half. If they don't get the 2 points, it's a letdown going in at halftime.
Well, now comes a situation where clearly what the Eagles have to do is stop the Packers here.
Yes.
They wind up scoring fortuitously, converting on a 3rd down, and then the trick play, and they get the touchdown, and then to give that back up might spell curtains.
Try and slap the ball out of there, get the turnover.
Yeah, and
They'll be going for it.
I don't think we can expect Mike Holmgren and Brett Favre to be conservative on this possession either.
Well, Dan, your Michigan boys, number 11 in the country, go to Colorado. That is our feature game this week. Northwestern tries to rebound against Duke. BYU, Washington, and Iowa State, Iowa. Regional college football this Saturday at 3:30 Eastern. And 12:30 Pacific time right here on ABC.
With the Maize and Blues strapping on a big load there with the Buffaloes.
Yeah.
That's
good game.
Very good game. Colorado, one of the most talented teams in the country.
Tom Hutton to kick off, and it's a short kick. And it's caught at the 16-yard line by Don Beebe, the longtime Buffalo Bill. Nothing but white shirts in his path, and he gets tackled at the 25-yard line. Bobby Taylor is there. Eagles 7 plays, and they started at their own 7-yard line. Cashing in.
Big play on that drive. The 1st down completion to Jason Dunn, the tight end, that kept that drive alive. 3rd and long, and he ends up converting it by about a yard to keep that baby going.
And you're right, Dan. The pressure really on Philadelphia's defense to go in at halftime with the Packers not putting any more points on that board.
From the 25-yard line. Green Bay has just 1 timeout left as Favre throws, and the pass is errant, intended for Mark Chmura, 2nd down. Mark Chmura went to the Pro Bowl last year. Very intelligent fella out of Boston College. Good guy. He's really developed, and he has been here as long as Holmgren, so he has watched the evolution.
But there's only 3 players remaining on this Green Bay Packer team that Ron Wolf took over in December back at 91. Only 3 players in 5 years.
Second and 10. Favre throws, and Chmura in traffic makes the catch and gets wrestled down up at the 36-yard line by Brian Dawkins, and Brett will go without a huddle.
Yep. If that was an incompletion, then they'd have to worry about giving the ball back over to Philadelphia. Now it's, here we go, we're coming after you.
He's chased, and he dumps it to Bennett, and Bennett gets taken down after a minimal gain by Troy Vincent. And it'll be 2nd and 9
Brett
with a
takes the timeout.
Yeah, their final one. Well, we talked about the Packers and the tradition, of course, and probably the most memorable game, at least equal to it, in the history of the NFL. And Frank, you broadcast this game, the Ice Bowl, in '67.
3 seconds to go in the game. Vince Lombardi decided rather than tie it up, we're going to win it right here. And it was a good thing he did, because a lot of the players had a lot of frostbite. I remember waking up that morning at the Northland Hotels. Guys, I got a phone call that said, "Good morning, Mr. Kifford. It is 8 o'clock. It is 23 below zero."
One of the most famous blocks in NFL history, the double team by center Ken Bowman and
Jerry Kramer.
right guard Jerry Kramer.
And you didn't ask for the windshield factor?
Well, no, they gave it to me. 50 plus, they said.
Minus 50 plus.
2nd down and 9, and the pass is underthrown. Keith Jackson, the intended receiver, covered by Willis, and Mike Mamula put the pressure on Favre that time. 3rd and 9 upcoming. 1:10 remaining, first half.
You're here on an absolutely perfect night like tonight. It's hard to imagine that could actually be that cold here. Hope it's not by morning.
I was doing the game with one of our dear friends, Jack Buck and Ray Scott. Tommy Brookshire was here, and they played that game in record time.
Oh, I bet they did.
11 minutes.
Then you're, I think Jack told me one time he had some fortified coffee and it froze.
3rd down and 9. Pressure on Favre, but he escapes and hits Keith Jackson. Another big 3rd down conversion, and the Eagles still won't get the ball back. 18-yard pickup, and again he converts, does Favre, and clock stops with $1:03 remaining.
And we talked about a combination of Chmura and Keith Jackson. Keith Jackson with great years at Philadelphia and then 3 years at Miami. And when he was traded up here last year, he just didn't want to come. And he didn't come until after, what, the 7th game. And this year he was right on time, reported to camp. 3 touchdowns a week ago for them.
Favre, pressure, dumps it off to Bennett underneath. He swings to the outside, but good pursuit by the Eagles to knock him down at the 41 and keep him in bounds to keep the clock going. Again, the Pack out of timeouts.
You know, it's just another play, but what a wonderful illustration of Favre's mobility.
2nd and 5. He goes to the sideline, and that's incomplete. He was trying to hit Brooks and stop the clock at the same time. It does neither. 3rd down. A reminder coming up at the half. Chris Berman with the highlights from New York, and last night we had a chance to talk to Brett Favre, who discusses the addiction, the painkilling addiction, the painkiller addiction that he admitted to, got treatment for. And of course, when you say got treatment for, it's not in the past tense ever, I suppose. It's a continuing treatment for the rest of your life, in effect.
As with any addiction.
They need to move this ball about 10 yards. Chris Jackie's career best is 54 yards.
3rd and 5, and it is caught at the 21 by Freeman for a first down. Antonio Freeman, and now clearly in field goal range.
And Frank, I would call that a pretty good illustration as to the strength of Brett Favre's arm.
Had it right on a string, perfectly thrown. Doesn't need to set up, doesn't need a long stride into the ball like a lot of quarterbacks. Perfect delivery. Look at the tight spiral. That makes it so easy to catch.
31 seconds and no timeouts, and he throws into traffic, and somehow he threads it into Brooks.
Goodbye. Hello, cheeseheads. Oh, wow. You should not be able to throw the ball that well. 3 defenders there. He put it the only place you could put the ball for the completion.
They had Brooks in a triangle, and somehow the ball gets there, and 6 more for Green Bay.
This is remarkable. And a touch to it.
.26 seconds left in the half. So Philadelphia scores to get back in the game, and Green Bay says, take that.
You have to think that that same coverage, exactly the same coverage by the Eagles, 9 out of 10 times, or maybe more, Frank, is going to result in an incompletion. That's just not that bad a coverage.
Well, they had the Pack's #1 receiver double covered, and they were getting help from the inside. You can't expect much more. The defense they called was perfect. It was just a brilliant touch by somebody who was so confident in his own ability.
The safety has got to make the hit that knocks the ball loose. You can see that that second hit applied by Troy Vincent as he comes over is just a little late to knock the ball out. Of course, Vincent just a little late getting in there. But again, you just can't overemphasize what a perfectly thrown pass by Favre.
Vincent, Zordich, and Wilburn all in the neighborhood, but they were evicted.
Well, Mr. Rhodes' neighborhood will not be a good place to be at halftime.
Squib kick. Garner brings it back to the 31. Ray Rhodes can peel paint off a wall with the best of them. I mean, I guess Mike Ditka could peel it better than anybody in the 80s. And Rhodes can do it in the 90s.
He can do it by looking at it.
Yes, he can. Yes, he can laser it right off the wall.
I guarantee you, this Eagle team will not come out and lay down the second half.
No, but you know something interesting about Ray Rhodes. Sometimes when you're getting it put to you this badly, yelling doesn't do any good. Sometimes you let your team know that you support them, that you're with them. You know they're having a bad night. You also get the point across that this type of performance in the second half isn't acceptable.
They haven't had that kind of performance in the first half since '87 under Buddy Ryan, as the catch is made by Kevin Turner with 16 seconds remaining in the half.
And how many players on this team, Al, played for Buddy Ryan?
0.
Isn't that something?
It's incredible. The amazing thing, too, I mean, Richie Kotite is there in December of '94, and there are only 9 guys, 9 out of 53 left from Kotite's team.
It is Ray Rhodes' team. Although I'm not sure he wants to claim it in the first half.
You couldn't get a makeover like that if you went to Elizabeth Arden every day of the week. I mean, he just came in and totally cleaned house. And that's almost picked by Evans, as Chris T. Jones was the intended receiver. 2nd and 10.
Rodney coming off a game in which he was absolutely sensational last week against the Redskins in the first half. The Eagles struggling in the second half, but pulling that game out 17-14.
11 seconds left. Eagles actually with a 3rd and 1 here after the 9-yard gain to Turner. So you're not looking for the first down. You got to air it out if you're Rodney Peete at this point. And he'll attempt to, and he throws to the sideline, and that's intercepted. It's intercepted by Corey Dowden out of Tulane. And it gives Green Bay a chance, if they so desire, to launch one into the end zone.
Well, we might get a look at Brett's strong arm if they throw one up down towards the end zone, looking for the foul.
Well, last year we said the Eagles had 16 turnovers, or the Packers created 16 turnovers, 16 takeaways all year. They already have 10 in 6 quarters this season.
That's Ty Detmer, who was with the Green Bay Packers for several years, came to Philadelphia this year. Oh, look at that. Look at that arm.
He's going to launch it. Looking for Freeman. Tip. And almost caught by Beebe. Beebe almost caught it.
You know, he threw that ball about almost 70 yards.
And not only did he throw it 70 yards, but he threw it exactly where he wanted to throw it.
I was hoping they'd do that. I just wanted to see it.
Monday Night Football has returned to Green Bay for the first time in 10 years. And it's Christmas in September for this crowd. What a half.
That easily could have been a touchdown. Right into the chest of Todd Beebe.
30-7 at the half. Back we come after this message from the NFL and a word from our ABC station. lead as Pete gives the ball to Ricky Waters, who picks up about 3. It'll be 2nd and 7, and Reggie White and a former teammate, Ed West, get into a little pushy-shovey. West played here for a lot of years. Let's get a word from Lynn Swann. Lynn?
Well, I talked to Ray Rhodes, and of course he talked about making the right adjustments on offense and defense and stopping the bleeding, which means you stop the turnover and put more than a Band-Aid in the Green Bay Packer offense. But he said what his team had to do on offense, since they had the ball first to score, he said emotionally they needed to get back in this ball game. Al?
All right, Lynn, so we'll see if they stay in what would be their game plan. At least they began this drive by running the ball, and now they'll go to the air on 2nd down and 6, and they swing it out. And a pass to Garner, and he's out of bounds, shy of the 1st down. It'll be 3rd and a long 2.
Eagles using a lot of Charlie Garner in the backfield with Ricky Waters, both good receivers coming out of the backfield and both capable of giving you a big play, and they certainly need one. Charlie Garner averaged over 5 yards a carry a year ago.
Green Bay leading 30-7 as the Pack tries to go 2-0. 3rd down and 2. Pete into traffic, tried to find Waters, and he was well covered. Mike Pryor in the neighborhood, and Wayne Simmons as well. It'll be 4th and 2. So 3 and out, exactly what Ray Rhodes didn't want to happen to start the 2nd half.
I'm sure John Gruden didn't particularly like that read on the part of Rodney Peete. Good coverage on the intended receiver, Ricky Waters.
Tommy Hutton averaging 48 yards a kick tonight. Desmond Howard back to receive it. An angled kick and a beauty, 53 yards to the 19, and the Heisman Trophy winner from Michigan runs all the way across the field, breaks loose, and has to get by Hutton, which he does, and gets run down at the 33 with a flag down all the way back at the Green Bay 28-yard line.
There you go, Dan. Little excitement.
Yeah, but it's coming back.
Yeah, he's certainly a talent that can do it at any time. He ran one back in the preseason. It really kind of cemented his spot on the Green Bay roster. Illegal use of the hands going to bring it back, but Desmond was a guy that very much on the bubble here with the Packers. Ran a punt back, kind of gave a glimpse to the coaching staff of what kind of excitement he can bring.
Illegal block in the back. Number 25 on the return team on the run back. That's a 10-yard penalty. 1st down.
He said 25, but that was Dorsey Levens. Not quite sure of that.
No, Levens
could be, yeah,
a guy that participates on special teams.
See if we can catch it here.
There's Levens, and there is the block in the back. I think
have to have that head in front.
You sure do. Here's a better look at it on Zomo, and yes, that's quite definitely a block from behind.
Now the Pack from the 18-yard line. 13-18 left in the 3rd quarter. Green Bay up by 23. And they begin with Edgar Bennett exploiting a big hole. The 25 behind a William Henderson block. And gents, the last time we saw the Eagles was in that wild card playoff game where they annihilated Detroit. They led at the half, did the Eagles, 38-7. And here it is 9 months later, and they're down 30-7.
And what we're seeing, I think, is a continuation of a trend by the Packers of when they want to run the football, they're running it right at Mike Mamula, the very active but undersized defensive end, and they're getting good blocking by Gary Brown and Aaron Taylor over on the left side. And they're making some mileage over there. 2nd and 3, the fake to Bennett, and Fuller chases far, but his pass is incomplete, intended for Chimura. 3rd and 3. Mamula had a pair of sacks last week. He was their #1 draft choice last year, and this guy is excitement in the defensive end position, but he doesn't have a lot of lead in his pants at 252 pounds, and if you are going to run the football, William Fuller is not the guy you go after. You go after Mamula on the far side.
And these linebackers behind him, Thomas, good pass defender, a lot of speed. He's only 220 pounds, and he usually is lined up behind Mike Mamula, and they have been blowing him out of there also.
Favre on 3rd and 3, and it's incomplete, and there's a flag as Edgar Bennett says, hey, come on, That was held, and the official said you were. By James Willis.
So instead of a punt, we're going to be picking up the first down.
Pass interference. Number 50 on the defense. That's the first down.
James Willis, the former Packer, not complaining about it.
Right behind the official there, number 50. Let's track him as he comes on across.
I would think so.
Yeah, from that angle, you could see Brooks move.
Far from the 28, trying to set up a screen or whatever develops.
Mamula's still after him.
Yeah, and finally gets him, but Brett gets back to the 30-yard line for a 3-yard gain, and Rhett Hall delivers a blow.
Brett gets up, and he's really after Bernie Kukar. He thought that Mamula was late in landing on him. This crowd, I think, being just a little overprotective. Rhett Hall from the front, Mamula from behind.
How'd team get away from this first charge of Mamula, though? Nothing dramatic, just a little slide. His feet are so quick back there.
All right, now watch. From the left comes Hall. We'll take a look at it after this play.
It is 2nd down and 8. Here is Bennett. And another hole big enough to send him to the 40 and a 10-yard gain and a first down.
A little quick draw, really effective.
Here's the conclusion of that last play. Let's watch Brett Favre as he comes up on the scramble. From the left will come Rhett Hall. From behind is Mamula. All right, there's both of them get there about the same time, and really, that's, you know, quarterbacks wear shoulder pads too and a helmet. They're allowed to get hit. I don't think that's anything to get excited about, but the crowd certainly did.
1st and 10 from the 40. Here's Levens. Nothing happening. Loss of 2. Rhett Hall breaks the play up with 11 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter in Lambeau Field, site of Monday Night Football for the first time since September of 1986, when the Bears came in and beat them 25-12 on a night that I recall is the night Tim Lewis ended his career with a spinal injury. Budding career nipped by an injury to a very fine defensive back for the Packers.
One guy I know for sure was here then. He's the backup quarterback for the Green Bay Packers.
Jimmy Mack. There he is.
There he is.
And on the left. 2nd and 12. And Bennett, who went over 1,000 yards last year, up to the 46-yard line to make it 3rd and 4.
Same play, just a little drop back on the part of Favre, like he's going to drop and throw the ball quickly, and he just slides it in there to Bennett. And quite effective. Straightaway zone blocking. Now watch him. He'll go back like he has the ball. The little fake that at least rivets the secondary for a moment. Doesn't have any impact on the defensive line.
3rd and 4 now. Green Bay at its own 46. Packers leading by 23, and they give it to Henderson, and the blocking fullback busts the tackle and picks up a first down to the 40-yard line. Boy, what's that old phrase we say about San Francisco? Yes. So many weapons.
And Gary Brown was one of the weapons that time, the left tackle. And we've got a player down and injured. But it is known as a pancake. That's number 50, James Willis, their middle linebacker, down on the field. But Gary Brown, the guy in there because Ken Rutgers is still back. Take a look at him at the bottom of your screen. That's moving the pile, my friends.
But James Willis walked off. He's just stretching it out right now. He's you just come back and see that shot, you think there's a problem, but he walked off under his own power. And they work on him, and Joe Kelly takes his spot at middle linebacker as the Pack resumes its drive at the Philadelphia 40-yard line, and Favre gives the ball to Bennett. Picks up 2.
A little to no mercy in this game of pro football. They go right at Joe Kelly, who is now in his 11th year, been travel around this league a little bit.
Cincinnati and the Raiders. Hired gun. Played here with Green Bay. 2nd and 8, 8.5 to go in the third quarter. And Willis up and walking around on the Eagles sideline. Looks for Henderson, hits him, and he gets run over by Kelly. Well, Jets, come on.
Kelly a little fired up.
Nothing happening there. Guys, remember last year, I know a lot of people remember the scene in the NFC Championship game. Gil Haskell, the assistant coach for Green Bay, run over in that horrific collision on the sideline, and he was knocked cold, and there he is in the middle, and we're thrilled to report 9 months later, Gil Haskell feels great. Barely has to go through any rehab anymore, and a guy who almost died back working full time. 3rd down and 8, and the catch is made by Robert Brooks for a first down.
And Mike Holmgren really wanted to make the point, don't interpret anything because he's up in the booth this year instead of being down on the field. It's just a change in coaching philosophy. He's just fine and could be on the field if I wanted him to be.
Robert Brooks made a deep out, and you saw one of the strong arms again. Great delivery, not bad coverage by Bobby Taylor, but I'll tell you, Favre had so much on this ball. That's pretty good coverage on a deep out. But he had so much on it, timed out so well with Brooks that no way Taylor could get back, even though he was in the right position.
Bennett now on the play after Brooks makes his 5th reception of the night, and Mike Holmgren has watched his wide out pick up 130 receiving yards. Mike Holmgren, all of a sudden I think people beginning to appreciate a coach for the 90s, among other things. But he's measured, he's extremely bright. I mentioned before he had a chance to coach the Jets in '89 and the Cardinals in '89. Just didn't feel it was right. But boy, it's right here.
And they have a very cohesive operation. Holmgren, Ron Wolf, the general manager, their chain of command is very small.
2nd and 11, and a backside screen is set up beautifully to Bennett. And Bennett tries to dive in. He's in for the touchdown.
Now that's a Mike Holmgren favorite. He loves the screen pass, as did Bill Walsh, his mentor out of the San Francisco 49ers. Nobody really does it much better than the 49ers, with maybe the exception now of the Packers.
Bennett may have lost a little bit of air for a moment falling on the ball. Otherwise, he would have been in the first row.
Well, the guy who got out there and got it started from a blocking standpoint was Aaron Taylor, the left guard, number 73. There he is right there blocking up front on Dixon. Then he releases with the center, Frank Winters. And there's the block on Zordich by Taylor. Winters goes on downfield. It's just a beautifully executed play. And Bennett just finishes off the last 4 yards by himself.
Chris Jackie tacks on one more. 6:14 left in the third quarter. The Green Bay Packers trying to tell the country they are for real. And who's to argue? 37-7.
I'm a believer.
One, Hentrick kicks off, and Charlie Gardner was going to down it in the end zone and then runs it back and brings it back out to the 23. So that was worth 3 extra yards. Eagles are shell-shocked with 6:03 left in the third quarter. 37-7 Pack. Lambeau Field rocking. Green Bay here taking on unbeaten San Diego. Waters up to the 28-yard line. Here is our credential fact tonight. Irving Fryar, a member of the Philadelphia Eagles, and last week a recipient of a touchdown pass from Rodney Peete. Irving in his 13th year, he's now caught TD passes thrown by 13 different passers, and that ties an NFL record for touchdown receptions from most different, and we say passers because you have other guys beside quarterbacks throwing it to him. So Irving Fryar, who caught one last week from Rodney Peete, lining up here on a 3rd and 4. And Pete under pressure and is lucky that wasn't picked off, and Sean Jones can't believe he dropped it.
That was Doug Evans coming from the corner, and Rodney just had to get rid of it. And almost got it picked off.
Crowd salutes the Packer defense. They saluted the offense tonight. They saluted the special teams. It's a 21-gun salute tonight.
Well, sometimes as a quarterback you have to get rid of it, but there are better ways to get rid of it than throwing it right into the pile. That was a pretty amateurish get rid of by Pete.
Flag is thrown after the kick leaves the foot of Hutton and is fair caught by Howard at the 31-yard line. So penalty back up at the 38.
All-time sack leader with 157 in his 12th season. Still looking for the very coveted ring.
The eligible man downfield. And
Ineligible lineman downfield, number 55 of the kicking team. It's a 5-yard penalty, still 4th down.
they can kick it again. Ray Farmer is the guy, rookie out of Duke. Well, we'll be back at Lambeau Field on the 14th of October. Green Bay will make 3 appearances on Monday Night Football this year. Tonight, of course. And then the 49ers here, and then at Dallas the 3rd Monday in November.
Whew. In a reinstallment of another installment, rather, of last year's NFC Championship game. And a game the Packers will very much want to measure themselves against the Cowboys.
Hutton. It's a 42-yard kick to the 34-yard line. Desmond Howard tries to turn the corner and can't. Tackled at the 38-yard line by Jason Dunn.
Nice play by Dunn, a tight end. He's got a future at linebacker.
4:51 left in the 3rd. Munster, Jack, I mean, what do you do?
Well, I think you start with a size. I mean, when you go buy a hat, don't you? Are you assuming that it's one cheesehead fits all?
No, I don't think so. As Bennett picks up 8 yards here, Brian Dawkins makes the tackle.
And you go for a wedge, or do you go for the full round? So, you know, there's the wedge look.
Right.
Which, of course, was a very fashionable haircut. And then do you wear the wedge with the pointy end forward?
Sure.
You could wear it, you know, with the side facing you.
Yeah, one thing I'd like to have that franchise on number 4 up here.
That's the Ralph Lauren look right there.
Well, yeah, it's a designer cheesehead. But look at that. Now, there is a different shape altogether.
I'm starving.
That's a baseball cheesehead.
2nd and 2.
And a Monday Night Football cheesehead.
We love it. We love it.
With the maple leaf.
2nd and 2. And this is Henderson for a first down. I think a lot of people around the country remember that story last year, and it's a true story. A guy gets in a small plane crash and claims that the cheesehead saved his life.
I'm flying home with a cheesehead tonight. Oh, you've met my pilot.
Okay. Oh man!
See, look at that. There we have children's cheeseheads.
Holmgren cheesehead.
Oh, put it back down. There we go.
You guys are checking out the cheese. Green Bay is quietly just having their way with Philadelphia defensively. There.
Well, Philadelphia right now saying, I don't want the cheese anymore. I just want out of the trap.
Yeah, well, they're going through Philly's defense like it's Swiss cheese. 1st and 10 from the 44 with 3:20 to go in the 3rd. And Henderson, the fullback, pulls ahead for about 4.
Green Bay came in here tonight. If you weren't with us earlier, they were nervous, a little shaky. Brett Favre at the very beginning of the game was overthrowing, underthrowing, bouncing around in the pocket. Boy, when they settled down, they looked like the team so many people expect them to be.
Well, Frank, so many weapons, so many legitimate offensive players of a big-time caliber. 28 touchdowns, 2 interceptions in his last 9. We showed you what it was after 8. 25 and 2.
Counting tonight. Bennett swings to the outside and close to a first down.
And you know, Kenny Wolf, if you could put that back up again, folks. You know, this is something you just don't gloss over. These are staggering numbers by just staggering numbers by Brett Favre, that he has matured to the point where he can deliver on something like this. 28 touchdowns and only 2 interceptions during his last 9 regular season games.
The other thing for quarterbacks, Dan, this is his 63rd consecutive start. That's the kind of durability he has.
And remember, tonight he started 0 for his first 5. So he's 17 for his last 26, and here's another first down. If you're a Jet fan, it has to kill you to think, and people who follow it closely can remember the '91 draft. Ron Wolf is back with the Jets working under Dick Steinberg, and they loved Favre, and the Jets tried to trade up in the draft to get to Favre, and they had the pick after Atlanta. So Atlanta takes Favre, the Jets have to take Browning Nagel, and then Wolf comes here, and the first thing he does when he hires Holmgren is goes after Brett Favre and gets him from Atlanta. And that's how close Favre came to being a New York Jet.
And of course, only 3 players remaining from when he came here, Dan, 5 years ago.
That's how they have revamped this franchise.
Bennett.
And they do it as a team. And when I say they, I'm talking about Ron Wolf and Mike Holmgren. They run this thing jointly when it comes to personnel. Mike has an awful lot of input, and this is as smooth a running of a franchise as you will ever find, the way Wolf and Holmgren get along.
Right now, say something about owners. They don't have one here.
No, it's owned by the community of Green Bay, and the stockholders might live across the street, might live down in Milwaukee, and they have a Harley-Davidson riding coach running this operation.
Third quarter winding down. It's 2nd down and 9. And they give it to Levens. And then the irony of ironies, Jets, is that Ron Wolf, who's been in football a long time, meets Mike Holmgren for the first time when Holmgren's an assistant in San Francisco. Wolf's with the Jets. The two of them go to a Brett Favre workout when he's at Southern Mississippi, and that's the first time they met. 3 years later, Wolf hires Holmgren. They get Favre, and hello.
That's rich.
But they also had the foresight to stay with him. When they brought him in, he was one wild quarterback.
That's the end of 3 in Green Bay. All packed, 37-7, and Monday Night Football returns after this from our ABC stations. That wins the prize. A cowboy cheese hat and a tie as we start the 4th quarter.
Yeah, he looks like he'd wear it too. Can you imagine he'd be wearing a clip-on cheese tie?
3rd and 5. As Dorsey Levens swings to the outside, and he picks up a first down. Darrell Boykin makes the tackle. Start the 4th quarter. Packers on top 37-7. All over Green Bay. Those are lights on somebody's roof, and look at the logo lower left of the sign. From the Goodyear Blimp, Stars and Stripes. We find everything.
Is that somebody's roof?
Yep.
Oh no, that's a blimp.
And the blimp providing that shot of Lambeau Field.
What a lot of work they've done on this since 1989. All these skyboxes now completely circling the stadium.
Look at the flash bulbs going on. This looks like a rock concert going on.
Green Day in Green Bay. First down from the 12 as this is William Henderson taking it to the 5-yard line. It'll be 2nd down and 3.
Hey, this drive started at the 38-yard line. Packers 38-yard line. It's been totally on the ground. That's humiliating.
Yes, it is.
Next week we go to Pittsburgh. It'll be the Pittsburgh Steelers hosting the Buffalo Bills on Monday Night Football. Buffalo 2-0. Came from behind to beat the Giants in OT opening game. And yesterday they knocked off New England. And the Steelers now 1-1. Mike Tomczak riding the ship yesterday. Three Rivers Stadium, the site. Bills Steelers next Monday.
Rod Woodson with a big game yesterday.
2nd and 2, and they give the ball to the bruiser, William Henderson, getting a lot of work. Rathman-like performance tonight. Tom Rathman-like for Henderson.
Well, the good news for Philadelphia is that they do get to go home and get some home cooking. 2 games on the road for Ray Rhodes and his team, and they'll come out of it 500 after eking out the win at RFK against the Skins and get to go home and try to get better against Detroit. But on a short work week after a Monday night game, this will not be easy to get out of these guys' minds. This is the type of a defeat that can stay with you for a while.
Yep, you're thinking of it as a measuring stick game in a way. 3rd down and 2 from the 4-yard line. And Levens tries to find the first down, which he's very close to getting. It'll either be 4th and a couple of inches or first down. And the Pack indicating they're a little short.
And this crowd telling Mike Holmgren that let's show no mercy, and Mike does. Sends up Chris Jackie.
So on 4th and 1, the Pack with Sherman Lewis on the left, the offensive coordinator, watching his unit pick up 34 points last week, 37 tonight. Gil Haskell, the receivers coach, in the middle. And their team on its way to being 2-0. Jackie for a chip shot here, 21 yards.
And I wonder if this field goal is a Mike Holmgren. Whoa, over the head.
Hentrick pulls the Yepremian, and that's one way to stop the Packers.
Well, but at least by throwing the pass like that, he gets it back. He gets it back to the line of scrimmage.
Mike Arthur, I mean, that wasn't even close. The center snap. I mean, that was several feet over the holder.
An errant toss.
Yeah, Mike Holmgren doesn't like that either. Brought you on board to do one thing, and don't you forget it. Not even close.
Green Bay is mortal, but they still lead by 30.
The Macarena and cheese. We all had a hand in that. No one wants to claim it. Macarena and cheese, only at Lambeau.
We would hope. The Eagles begin from their own 3.
Packer fans, one more.
Yeah. Ricky Waters has to scramble out of the end zone up to the 5-yard line. He's tackled by Kuntz.
The new Ricky Waters, he's a little heavier. He's up there around 227 pounds or so. He says he didn't plan on gaining the weight. He just started working with weights. His lifestyle has changed a lot. He's become a very spiritual young man. Says he's much more focused. And had a very disappointing night thus far with that key fumble early on.
Second and 8 from the 5. Pete airs it out, but nobody there. Too far, intended for Irving Fryer.
And Irving Fryer was wide open. Rodney Peete knows it.
Boy, that's not a little misfire, Frank. He overthrew him by 5 yards.
And you get a little antsy when you're throwing out of your own end zone.
And it also looks like a throw by a guy who doesn't have a great deal of confidence in where the ball's going.
So the backup Ty Detmer, the former Packer. Third down and 8. Pete nearly gets sacked, then gets sacked for the safety.
That's what he was concerned about in the play before, and obviously he had every right to be concerned about it.
Well, Santana Dotson was the first guy there, but Rodney made him miss. I mean, Dotson's high-fiving everybody, but Santana went right over the top.
Yeah, but for Mike Holmgren, he was there. And that's what...
They got to credit Reggie White with the safety.
As Dotson, he misses. There's White.
After the safety, free kick for Philadelphia, so Tom Hutton boots it from his own 20-yard line. What a kick down to the 11-yard line. Antonio Freeman, that was a 69-yard kick, or 69 yards in the air, and Freeman brings it back to the 33. Reggie White, he and Dotson will share this sack, creating the safety. 39-7. For 5 coming out of the gate, and then he became Brett again. 17 out of 31, and he's done for the night. And Jim McMahon guided the Bears to the Super Bowl crown following the '85 season, takes over at the 27-yard line. And the visored one gives it to Travis Jervey up to the 34-yard line on Jervey's first carry of the night.
Well, McMahon's found life after the Super Bowl, too. This is his 6th team, the Green Bay Packers, with Chicago 7 times. One of the 2 active players to have played in the Super Bowl.
Don Beebe, the other, the receiver who played in 4 of them for the Buffalo Bills.
McMahon also was San Diego, Philadelphia, actually, for 3 years. We had him on a Monday night down in Washington. Remember that game?
Yep.
Minnesota, Arizona, and now Green Bay.
15th year for Timmy Mack.
2nd down and 4. Jervy. And he's up to the 37-yard line, close to a first down with 10 minutes left in regulation. Monday Night Football is being brought to you by Ford Escort. It's new and it's nifty, made for the smart, the intelligent, thrifty. Slate's dress pants, always a touchdown, never fumble. These are those pants. Pennzoil Motor Oil, first to fully achieve the tougher 1997 GF2 performance standard, and Visa, the preferred card of the National Football League. It's everywhere you want to be.
Tell you, the Packers have trotted out some bruising runners here tonight. Jervy, a 225-pound second-year man out of the Citadel.
We've seen everybody but Jim Taylor tonight. On the frozen tundra.
I saw Jim Taylor about a month ago. He looks great. Jim Taylor looks like he could still play.
You trying to give me flashbacks?
Yes. Just a little reminiscing. Speaking of reminiscing, Taylor still holds the Packer record for most yardage in a season all the way back to 1962.
1,400 plus.
Yeah.
14-game season then, too.
Yeah, a great guy. Moderately tough, too, huh, Frank?
That would extrapolate to what, 1,600 yards for the day? That's not bad.
Bart Starr.
Oh, he looked for some linebackers to run over.
Oh, he did.
Or bite him or something. He actually bit Sam Huff.
Well, he was just so happy to get. He was just so happy to get to hit somebody other than having to take on Nitschke in practice.
Levens picks up the first down on 3rd and short.
Let's face it, butting heads with Ray Nitschke every day in practice would put anybody in a bad mood.
Well, you talk about a big-time Ring of Honor.
Yes, sir.
Every name that pops up.
Willie Davis, one of the great people. Willie and I toured Vietnam together.
See, a lot of teams.
60s.
A lot of teams have their Ring of Honor, which is a lot of players. This is the Packer / Hall of Fame Ring of Honor. Every name we've looked at so far is in the Hall of Fame.
Yep. Speaking of rings,
and look at this.
The Horns used to commute from Chicago.
I was going to say speaking of ringers, but never mind. First down from the 39-yard line. The great Paul Hornung.
They used to say about Paul Hornung, he could make going down to the town to get a loaf of bread. Could be exciting.
Well, Frank, we talked about you in the frozen tundra back in 1967. And in fact, to prove it,
I'm Frank Gifford. Here in Green Bay,
You're
they
not.
explained the world champion Packers with a single word: work. Coach Vince Lombardi says that those who seek success in pro football must never stop working for it. Over and over, the men of Lombardi are drilled to do everything the right way. Teams that meet the Packers know that while they may play even with Green Bay for a while, as soon as they make a mistake...
How come you had your hands in your pocket? Was it cold?
our archives have everything. This is Levens. Who fumbles the football. It's loose, but the Pack gets it back as Jervy covers up at the 40. Frank, did you really do that in the parking lot, or was that done in New York and they put that in as the backdrop?
I did it for NFL Films, and I remember I went in to see Vince Lombardi that particular day, and I forget what year it was, but he said, you know, I'm really getting tired of this. And as the first clue I had that he was thinking of getting out of the game, and which he ultimately did, and of course was out for 2 or 3 years before he went down to Washington. Vince, of course, was my coach for 7 years with the Giants. So he came there in 1954 and left in 1959 or 1960.
What vintage was that, Frank? What year was that?
I don't know. It was a good-looking coat, though, wasn't it?
I saw you wear it last winter.
I couldn't tell whether it was color or black and white in that weather. 3rd and 3 from the 46-yard line. Levens again. And he's close to a first down before 60,666. And that tonight is a new Lambeau Field record. Not that, I guess, you know, they have every seat completely sold out as a season ticket and a waiting list forever. So I guess they've somehow figured out a way to squeeze a couple of more people in tonight.
I think they finished construction on some of those new luxury boxes in the corner of the end zones. And this being the first home game this year, they got to try them out and add to that record attendance.
You know, guys, if this were any other stadium, I think, in the country, with this kind of score, 39-7, a little less than 7 minutes to go in the game, there'd be a lot of empty seats.
There would be. You're
there
right.
are none.
That's a good observation, Frank. You're right. Everybody is still here.
That's going to make it fun getting to the airport, isn't it?
I'm sure the Eagles are thrilled that they have all stayed to watch this debacle.
Well, they've waited a long time. The Packers last appearing on Monday night at home in '86, and then the team didn't play very well for a number of years. Holmgren brought them back. In the last couple of years, we've had Green Bay, but on the road at Chicago twice and at Kansas City. And here tonight and back here on the 14th of October again. Long time. The Packers last appearing on Monday night at home in '86, and then the team didn't play very well for a number of years. Holmgren brought them back. In the last couple of years, we've had Green Bay, but on the road at Chicago twice and at Kansas City. And here tonight and back here on the 14th of October against San Francisco. Hentrick to kick. And it just does dribble into the end zone. So 6:33 remaining in the fourth quarter in Green Bay, where the Packers lead 39-7.
That's the label off our new CD. You guys didn't even know you had a tape out, did you? Or an album, or... It's pretty good.
We do?
Yeah, you do.
Royalties?
No, I didn't say it was that good.
Oh, all right. First down from the 20-yard line. Ty Detmer's in the game, and the new Eagle quarterback hits Chris T. Jones for a gain of 11. Well, this game figured to be a chess match tonight between Holmgren and Ray Rhodes, but Mike has too much firepower. We mentioned that Rhodes was an assistant here. He was the defensive coordinator for 2 years here when Mike came over. He brought him from San Francisco, and Rhodes left under circumstances that some people thought smelled of a rift between the two to go back to the 49ers. But Ray was very open in talking about it last night from the 31-yard line. Detmer throws, and the catch is made by Garner. Rhodes, after 2 years, knew his family was extremely unhappy here. He had two daughters in school, and you could tell the look in their eyes they wanted to leave. It was very difficult. He was very honest. He said they went to a school with very few black classmates. It was a difficult social adjustment for them, and it was the better thing for the family to do to go back to the West Coast, which is what they did. But he walked in, and Holmgren was stunned after 2 years of trying to build his little empire here to have his defensive coordinator walk out on him. On second down, Detmer throws, and the catch is made for a first down by Fryer.
And to follow up on that, Al, what really hurt Mike was, you know, they're in the business of every year trying to recruit free agents to come to Green Bay, and Mike Holmgren was not happy that, even though I'm not sure Ray meant it that way, you know, that the inference was that Green Bay is not a nice place for black players to settle down, and Mike Holmgren was hurt by that, saying we have gone to great lengths to make this a community that's hospitable to everyone. And you know, knowing Ray Rhodes the way I do, I can't believe that that's what he intended.
Right. From the 47-yard line, Detmer picking up 3, and it's proven to be
and there's
the flag goes down.
Well, that was a helmet, I think, by Newsome. He came in and put the shoulder and the helmet on Detmer, and the face mask is called. So Newsome's late hit obviously was not.
Face mask, number 36 on the defense. Will add 5 yards to the end of the run.
LeRoy Butler. I thought Newsome's hit was what drew the flag when he came in there late.
Newsome really pulled up on it. You'll see here. You'll see the face mask first. Oh, yeah, well, he got it on the way down, I think. There's Newsome. He kind of led up on that.
With 4:25 now remaining, there's the hit at the end. Detmer throws, and that's broken up. And Dan, the bottom line to follow up on the Rhodes situation and any inference that people have is that a guy like Reggie White comes here, loves it. We talked to Keith Jackson last night, who played at Philadelphia and Miami. Keith said You know, this is like, in a way, being back in college. It's that kind of an atmosphere, and he loves it. And it's funny how this whole franchise, the perception of it and the quality of the team has just been changed so dramatically over the last 4 or 5 years.
I think it comes right down from the top to Mike Holmgren. The players like to play for him. He's, like you said earlier, kind of a new age coach, if you will.
2nd and 2. Garner.
To have a memorable experience, every player in the league should have to come and play 1 year in Green Bay. This is an environment that I think for the rest of your life, you would remember what it was like to be idolized and worshipped by an entire community. It doesn't happen anywhere quite to the extent that it happens here in Green Bay. You know, certainly the communities like Denver worship the Broncos, but there is something so unique and so small and so folksy about the way the folks of this region of Wisconsin idolize the Packers.
From the 35-yard line. And Detmer goes down in the arms of Gabe Wilkins. Well, it's a city of 100,000 in the metropolitan area, not a heck of a lot more. And the only way you can keep a team like this here is through revenue sharing. I mean, the Packers share in the enormous television contract, and that's one good thing about the teams sharing revenue in the National Football League.
Right. You know, their clothing line all of a sudden took a big jump with the NFL properties. They're up to about 4th or 5th now in volume of sales. So yes, Packers are back on top. They are indeed back.
Number 4 jerseys are springing up all around America.
2nd and 10, and Detmer, the Heisman Trophy winner at Brigham Young, the flag down, hits Chris Jones for a gain of 6.
Usually where you get the holding call.
Now, you know, Al, you're talking about revenue sharing. Now, the one plus for the Packers is that because they don't have an owner who has a lot of cash tied up in this club and has debt service and everything else.
Illegal use of hands. Number 73 on the offense. Hands to the face. That's a 10-yard penalty. Still 2nd down.
Just take these 2 teams right here, for instance. You know, Jeffrey Lurie paid $185 million for the Eagles. You know, he has debt service and he has a lot of money tied up that he has to get a return on that money. The Packers certainly are not in that position. They don't have a debt service. They don't have anyone that they have to pay dividends to. They are a break-even operation. That's all they have to do. They just can't lose money.
And the pass is incomplete. Last time I looked, Dan, I think this franchise was valued at about $165 million right now. And if it ever gets sold, the proceeds would have to go into an American Legion post. It was something drawn up a billion years ago.
I wouldn't wait around and wait for it to appear on the courthouse steps.
Don't think so. But the president of the team is Bob Harlan. He oversees the operation. That's a pretty good football family. His son Kevin is a broadcaster for Fox, and his other son Brian is the public relations director for the Chicago Bears. Detmer throws, and Garner is out of bounds at the 32-yard line.
Pretty good piece of work by Detmer, the former BYU player, and who Ray Rhodes really wanted because he knew him when he was up here. And 2 years ago, Detmer was here, and he knew that he knew the offense when he brought him in. It wouldn't be educating a quarterback to back up Rodney Peete. In fact, he brought him in to make a run of Rodney Peete's job.
Detmer, you look at Rodney Peete. Randall Cunningham, last year's starter, now retired. 4th and 8, and Detmer throws, and laying himself out for it is Ingram. Mark Ingram reaching for it as if it was a consequential play, laying himself out, and you open yourself up and become very vulnerable when you make a catch like that.
Former Giants #1 pick from 10 years ago into the Miami Dolphins, and actually Detmer threw this ball well. That was about the only place he could put it for the completion, but a great effort by Ingram. Former Michigan State star.
2-minute warning. on a celebration-filled night in Green Bay. By 31. Tonight they're up by 32. Only 4 other teams in NFL history have won the first 2 games of the season by 30 or more points. There are those teams. None of those teams won so much as a division title, believe it or not, after that great start. And Houston in '66 only won 3 games all year. 1st and 10 from the 13-yard line, and that pass is incomplete.
Shouldn't have been. Ingram is wide open. Detmer just overthrew that. It'll be a long night flying back to Philadelphia. Eagles coming in with high hopes. Opening day win over Washington. Rodney Peete with a great first half, but that was about it.
Second and 10. Christy Jones takes it to the 8. Coming up on Sunday on ABC Sports, Robbie Gordon and 11 of the world's top drivers meet in Michigan. Final challenge in the International Race of Champions. And then the Indy Racing League rolls into the desert at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway all Sunday right here on ABC Sports. 3rd down and 5 from the 8-yard line. Quarterback draw, and Detmer gets taken down by the right arm of Darius Holland.
He was slam dunked.
She was spiked. Santana Dotson. He goes from Tampa Bay to Green Bay. Not a bad move these days.
10 years ago it was pretty much of a lateral move.
Yeah.
But now it has definitely been an upgrade.
4th and 1 from the 4. And the Packers jump. Flag down. You know, Frank, you're right. If the Eagles have to go home now after 2 real good quarters against Washington and 6 pretty bad quarters after that, and reassess where this team is right now.
It'll get a long look. And
I thought Rhodes last year squeezed everything he could out of this team. I mean, that was a remarkable performance, but what's the shelf life of drawing out that much emotion?
Well, I think we have to keep in mind this is only the 2nd game of Ray Rhodes' 2nd year with this Eagle franchise. This is not something that's going to happen overnight. And Ray Rhodes has a program, and it's going to take a couple years to get it implemented. He's
we
still
have a neutral zone infraction. The right defensive tackle of Green Bay jumped into the neutral zone, causing the offensive man to flinch. That's half the distance to the goal line penalty, resulting in a first down.
You look at these 2 teams, and the Packers and under Mike Holmgren are a couple years ahead of Rhodes and the Eagles and where they would like to be. So they're going to have setbacks along the way. They're going to have big games and explode on people. And in this instance, they were exploded upon.
Well, that was right, though. 4 games they won last year by 3 points or less. Those are games they easily could have lost. Would have changed that 10-6 record around remarkably.
Detmer throws, and Ingram can't make the grab. 2nd down. Evans covers.
You know, is this cup half full or half empty? Is this a game that really shows the weaknesses of the Eagles, or is this a game that really demonstrates how far the Green Bay Packers have come in their climb to the top?
One guy, as we mentioned, they missed tonight dramatically was Andy Harmon. They lost Kirk DeVea, their middle linebacker. We talked about that earlier. Have they improved themselves? I don't know.
Yeah, but the Packers certainly have, especially defensively. Fritz Shurmur has this outfit playing really consistent defense.
2nd and goal. And Detmer throws, and that's incomplete. Evans covers, but a flag comes in. Christy Jones, the intended receiver. 37 seconds remaining.
Well, that'll put the ball at the 1-yard line and give the Eagles 4 whacks at it.
Interference on the defense number 33.
Do we see it? Yeah. A little early hit there by Doug Evans.
Well, when this one is over, Minnesota and Green Bay will share the top spot in the NFC Central. And Philly, Dallas, and Washington will all be 1-1 atop the NFC East, and that is not caught by Jimmy Johnson. The other Jimmy Johnson. This Jimmy Johnson has actually been in the National Football League longer than the other Jimmy Johnson has been a coach in the National Football League.
Quite a fake here by Kevin Turner as he goes up and over the top.
Saw that last week with Emmitt Smith. Almost lost him. Detmer wise, though, to throw that away. It's first down. Didn't take any risks with it.
16th play of the drive. And Garner spins and does get in. Touchdown. So Charlie Garner gets into the end zone to make it 39-13.
You look at the fact that the Packers have scored 39 points. You know, I think back over the game, I think of 2 drives that could have been kept alive, but there were dropped passes. The Eagles were, the Packers were in a position here in the 4th quarter to stuff it in the end zone. Instead, Mike Holmgren elected to go for a Jackie field goal, and the snap was over his head. They came out of there with no points. This easily could have been a game where the Packers were in the mid-40s or even low 50s.
And of course, they got way away from their offense. The offense they feature is really a short, high percentage passing game as much as a running game. They've kept it totally on the ground here in the second half.
Okay, picked us up late in the first quarter. Robert Brooks at the receiving end of that 3rd and 8 play, and into the stands he goes. That made the score 10-0. And then Irving Fryer takes the lateral from Chris T. Jones here toward the end of the first half, and it appeared the Eagles had gotten back into the game, closing the gap to 23-7. But before the half expired, Brooks makes this catch in traffic. Pack led at the half by a score of 30-7. And then Brett Favre, before he came out of the game, hits Edgar Bennett on that backside screen as Green Bay did everything right tonight to make it 37-7. And it's right now 39-13 as Philadelphia goes for 2 after the Garner touchdown. And Detmer to Garner, who is open. It's incomplete, and he reaches down for his knee.
I know one thing, guys, after watching and listening to this festival here tonight, you think of great home field advantages around the NFL, and immediately you think of places like Mile High Stadium and places over the years that have built up a real statistical advantage for their hometown club. I think the home of the cheese here is fast becoming just one of those places.
Speaking of the big cheese, there he is, our producer, Ken Wolf. And our other co-big cheese, our director, Craig Janoff. Monday Night Football. Our technical director, Joe Shava, who has been with this package since night 1. Our associate producer, Big Ben Harvey. Jaime Bravo. Our AD, as they say in the business. Robbie Weiss, Dennis Zabo, Jim Licata, making sure the sights and the sounds come out of here, and Victor Vitarelli and Chris Pfeiffer. Our capable assistants. Mr. Univac, Steve Hurt, our director of information. And all the gang. Kim Bauer up here with us this year. Our statistician, George Hill. And our spotter, Malibu, Kelly Hayes.
A onside kick coming up. Now, new concern for the Philadelphia Eagles. Charlie Garner limped off, holding his knee.
Green Bay takes it at the 38 as Jeff Thomason comes up with the football.
You might remember before the 1995 season, Charlie Garner had knee surgery. So another concern for the Philadelphia Eagles as they wing their way home.
I would say 85% of the crowd is still in this stadium.
Yeah.
They are just now beginning to start to file towards the portals. It is stunning to see this many people still in the ballpark with only 30 seconds left in a game that is, for all intents and purposes, been over for an hour.
Well, Lambeau Field, for this crowd who waited so long for a night like this was a field of dreams for this crowd tonight.
They have just stayed to give their club an ovation as they head to the locker room.
Yep.
They have remained here late into the night just to say thank you.
Real show of affection between Ray Rhodes and Mike Holmgren. They so many years together with the 49ers, and of course 2 years for Ray Rhodes here with Mike Holmgren.
Brett Favre on his way to maybe another MVP season after the first 2 weeks. He'd be the leader in the clubhouse right now. Green Bay wins it 39-13. Next week we go to Pittsburgh. It'll be Buffalo against Pittsburgh. Until then, Al Michaels, Dan Dierdorf, Lynn Swan, Frank Gifford, good night from Green Bay.